This story is for the parents. If you're not a parent of a small child, you can go ahead and swipe off unless you're a nerd like me. I want to tell you guys a story from my past, a very personal story about something hard that I went through and how this book helped me so incredibly much and how my children who are grown still mention this book. So it was probably, I know I'm very old, guys. This is probably 20 years ago now. I was recently divorced and I had my kids in a small apartment half the time, and I had no idea how to be a single dad. And for the first year, I just had them, week on, week off. And I thought, what in the world am I going to do with them on the weeks that are here to entertain them? I hardly had any money. I had a little TV in this little apartment. Kids shared a bunk bedroom. And I got the idea that, well, one of my favorite books of all time were the Lord of the Rings series and the Hobbit. And I thought, what if I just spend like 10 minutes before bed every night, and I think I made 20 eventually, reading the Hobbit to the kids. So I ordered a copy of the Hobbit, and I would sit down with them on the floor of their room, and they would get in bed after they brushed their teeth and got in their pajamas. And I would sit on the floor of the room and I would just read The Hobbit. And at first it was, like I said, 10 minutes. It set a little timer. And then my kids would say, no, let's do 10 more. So it became 20 minutes a night. And I would sit on the floor and read them The Hobbit. And The Hobbit's a long book, if you don't know. And I wasn't reading it fast. I was reading it to tell them a story. So I was being as animated as I could. And we don't do this anymore. We start to push books on our kids as soon as they're little. And, you read, and you read to them and this kind of stuff. But then as they start to get a little bit older, you just keep pushing them to read. But the thing of sitting with your kids and actually reading to them, for most parents, is something that's gone out the door anymore, especially because of our phones. And like all the shows on TV that we put in front of the kids and the iPad and everything else. I sat and read The Hobbit to my kids for 20 minutes over the course of a couple months until the book was done. My kids are now 26 and 23. At least once or twice a year in random, casual conversation, usually around the holidays, my kids will still bring up, do you remember when we used to sit in that apartment with the blue carpet, Dad? And you'd sit on the floor and read us The Hobbit. It's a very personal story, and I share this because if you're a parent and you want to spend time with your kids, there's nothing better that you can do than sit down and read to them. And this is the book that I would recommend because it is magical. It was written for children, and you will not be sorry that you spent this time with them for the rest of your life.